Okay, hello everyone and welcome to this Global Fleet Champions Spotlight session on company driver safety. This session features one of the winners of our Fleet Champions Awards from last year. So thank you to the headline sponsors of the awards, Wakatahi, and the sponsors of the Company Driver Safety Award, First Rescue, who are being featured in this spotlight session. And we wouldn't be able to run our events and awards without the support of organisations like them. And a big thank you to FMG, who are the speakers at today's session and presenting their case study. So if you're new to our webinars and spotlight sessions, Global Fleet Champions is a partnership campaign administered by Break, the road safety charity, to prevent deaths, injuries and pollution caused by vehicles driven for work. To learn more about the work that we do and to access fleet safety resources and more events, please visit globalfleetchampions.org. And if you're not already a member, you can sign up for free on the website. Break is a road safety charity working to prevent road deaths and injuries, make communities safer and support people bereaved and injured in crashes through a range of initiatives, and one of those is Global Fleet Champions. So moving straight on to our speaker today, I'm delighted to introduce Jack McKenna, who's the Wellbeing and Safety Advisor for Farmers Mutual Group, or FMG. Alongside Jack are other members of FMG's Wellbeing and Safety team, Manager Calvin Franson, Advisor Trina Cornelius, and Fleet Operations Coordinator Helen Hale. And FMG were the winners of our Company Driver Safety Award at the Australasian Fleet Champions Awards last year. So it's fantastic to have them involved today and sharing some of the measures that they've got in place at their organisation. So welcome, Jack, and thanks for being here.
Thanks, Carolyn. I'll just share our presentation. So hopefully everyone's got that on screen now. So as mentioned, my name's Jack. I'm a Wellbeing and Safety Advisor at FMG. In today's spotlight session, I'm going to give an overview of FMG as an organisation, an overview of our critical risks, our 5-step approach to how we manage critical risks, our critical controls that we have in place specifically around the motor vehicle accidents, how we measure and report on our critical controls, and the initiative, our driver awareness initiative, which was one of the initiatives that we submitted as part of our award for the company road safety submission. So I've just got a little video here that gives a very high-level overview of FMG. Hopefully this is what we had the technical issues with before, so hopefully this works. Here goes. Yes, so Farmers Mutual Group, FMG, we're a 100% New Zealand owned advice and insurance company. FMG offers rural business, lifestyle, household and life and health insurance. So our clients can get the same high level of support, advice and cover across all areas of their life and business. With 31 offices nationwide, FMG has a client-centric focus, meaning that we have employees in our mobile roles who are often up driveways visiting farmers. We have a fleet of 200 plus vehicles nationwide, driven by employees in mobile sales, mobile assessing roles, and our executive team. Fleet drivers travel a variety of distances on both rural and residential roads, and across the fleet, the total distance travelled in a calendar year is approximately 7 million kilometres. One of our organisational values is do what's right. This means doing what's right by our people, our clients and others. FMG making a commitment to road safety is right at the heart of doing what's right. So these are our FMG's 5 critical risks. So our biggest critical risk is motor vehicle accidents, and that's what I'll focus today's presentation on. We do have 4 others there: violent, threatening interactions, medical conditions including stress and well-being, catastrophic events at our FMG offices, and visiting client premises, which includes our BAU work and also working in damaged areas. How we define a critical risk in an FMG context is any hazard where if control is lost, the consequence has the potential to be fatal or permanently disable. And our critical control definition is a control that is crucial to preventing the event or mitigating the consequences of the event. The absence or failure of a critical control would significantly increase the risk despite the existence of other controls. So in terms of how we approach all critical risks, we have a 5-step approach. The first is to establish a risk review focus group to identify the threats and our critical risks. For each critical risk, a specific focus group is formed with composition appropriate to the critical risk being managed. So typical composition of a focus group is frontline staff representative, who the critical risk and controls most directly affect, a subject matter expert, an operations or sales leader, people leaders, and us as a wellbeing and safety team. Once the focus group is formed, we refine the risk analysis against best practice and the hierarchy of controls, undertaking gap analysis and identifying the work programs required to address these gaps. Then step 3, we implement the work program to address the gaps. Step 4, we embed the work program as part of BAU, and once the critical controls are part of BAU, we periodically repeat the process. That little graph there is available on our internal intranet, and it sets out our governance structure in relation to critical risks in very high level. The structure here will probably be quite similar to most of you on the call, and is in line with New Zealand's Health and Safety at Work Act. So I'll focus, as we've mentioned today, on the motor vehicle accident controls and how we measure those. So these are our suite of controls, and I'll just talk through each of these in a little bit of detail. So FMG, we only lease ANCAP 5-star vehicle as fleet vehicles for FMG. And in addition to this, all vehicles that we rent for work-related purposes are also ANCAP 5-star rated. As well as being ANCAP 5-star rated, all fleet vehicles have Navman Cube units installed and an accompanying personal safety device. The purpose of this technology is to support mobile employees' personal safety, first and foremost. The current functionality which we utilise includes the ability to locate employees in case of an emergency and/or if they have failed to return from the field, enable an employee to signal when they need help or have a vehicle accident, enable the employee to signal when they have a vehicle breakdown and they may be out of cell phone coverage, and we use it to manage excessive speed, as well as reporting on currently held driving data. Now, this is the functionality we utilise at the moment, but we do caveat that we may utilise other functionality in the future. So the vehicle audits and the quarterly safety checks are kind of, we class those in a similar context. So ensuring that the fleet vehicle is running safely, meets all requirements, and has all of the correct equipment is vitally important. Over the last couple of years, we have developed an app to make these vehicle safety checks more user-friendly for our employees. Done every quarter, the purpose of these is twofold. Any vehicle safety equipment missing or faults with the vehicle can be easily recorded in the app, and then these can be easily actioned by our fleet coordinator, Helen, who's on this call. The app creates a very easy audit trail for FMG and allows us to report on a number of the vehicles with missing equipment, and we also test the PSD completion rate as part of the quarterly vehicle checks. We have 2 forms of training, online and practical. Our online driver training, all employees, whether you're a fleet vehicle driver or not, are registered for Sharp Drive 101, which is an external learning module. And everyone's registered when they begin employment and are encouraged to complete the training within the first 2 weeks. Completing this training is mandatory for our fleet vehicle drivers and anyone who will travel over 1,000 kilometres for work-related purposes. Those 2 groups also complete refresher training every 3 years. So to complement our online driver training, the practical driver training that we have is done through the National Advanced Driving School, or NADS, like we call it, and that is for, again, all fleet vehicle drivers and all drivers who will drive over 1,000 kilometres in a 12-month period for work-related purposes. Much like the Sharp Drive, there's a 3-yearly cadence on refresher training for our practical defensive driver training. Excess speed events being resolved through the correct process. So as I touched on earlier, the use of Navman allows FMG to collect driving speed data to ensure our employees or anyone borrowing their vehicle are driving safely and complying with New Zealand transport laws while representing us on the road. Driving within the legal speed limit is in the spirit of FMG's values, doing what's right and being in it together. Under the Health and Safety at Work Act in New Zealand, it is FMG's duty to act on data of this nature to aid in keeping our employees safe. FMG has a process in place to ensure a fair and reasonable and consistent approach to dealing with instances involving excessive speed. As a WNS team, we receive a quarterly summary from Helen, the Fleet Vehicle Coordinator, indicating if the speed event process has been resolved through the correct measures. We have a all-encompassing FMG vehicle policy and quiz, and this is deemed a critical control. In 2022, we introduced a quiz in order to measure our employees' understanding of the policy. The quiz is stored on our internal learning management system and allows us to report on its completion rate. The vehicle policy sits at our highest level of policy, our enterprise policy level, and it's reviewed annually to ensure it remains relevant. The policy extends beyond our FMG fleet drivers and covers a variety of important information relevant to any employee who may find themselves driving for work-related purposes. And this again demonstrates FMG's dedication to road safety extends just beyond our fleet drivers. So measuring and reporting of our critical controls. So these are done quarterly. We report on these to our Enterprise Risk and Compliance Committee, and annually to our Board of Directors. So what we do is we take the score there and divide it by 7, the number in our suite, to give us a raw MVA score. This kind of shows that we consider all critical controls to be of equal importance, as I touched on earlier in our definition. Doing it this way allows us to see if there are controls lagging, then this can bring the overall score of our MVA Critical Control Suite down. So at the 31st of December last year, our last reporting period, our raw MVA score was 95.6%, which sits within FMG's risk appetite of 95 or above. But you can see there those 2 in red, they sit below our risk appetite, and we have been working as a WNS team within this quarter to try and bring them up to appetite. So the quarterly reporting cadence obviously keeps this information relevant, and there are quite a few moving parts with new employees having to complete training, for example, and old employees moving off the system. So beyond critical controls, and as I touched on our driver awareness reporting, and this was made a significant part as a new initiative for our award submission that we sent through as part of the Australasian Fleet Champions. So this is a key recent success story in FMG's MVA journey. A driver awareness report shows each occasion a driver triggers the threshold for a posted speed event. And the threshold for a posted speed event, as we define it, is 10% above the posted speed limit for 30 seconds or longer, and this is within 50 km/h speed zones or above. Following a pilot with 7 FMG fleet vehicle drivers, all from different roles and locations across the country and within the mutual, we identified that we could better manage the risk associated with speeding by sharing individual driving reports. All pilot members acknowledged the report, receiving their individual report made them more aware of speed events were occurring from both the geographical context, so i.e. like familiar areas, often school runs or to and from work, and also in relation to speed zone changes, so when travelling from 100 km/h into 50 km/h speed zones. This awareness enabled our drivers to change their driving behaviour and limit the number of posted speeds events they triggered. The consensus within the Wellbeing and Safety team and within this pilot group was that FMG's focus in this particular aspect on improving driver behaviour through awareness and self-correction is something we should adopt across the mutual, so drivers are able to identify trends in their own driving and self-correct without having key behavioural indicator consequences. So self-awareness, self-correction and ownership of behaviour is the fundamental rationale for driver awareness reporting. The individual driver is in control of the vehicle, and feedback to them is a vitally important element for improvement in speed management across the mutual. And this was a kind of a shift in philosophy from us, from sort of more carrot than as we previously potentially stick. So we rolled out the driver awareness initiative to employees in January 2022. The report is auto-generated by Navman, our monitoring supplier, and sent directly to each individual driver. So they're the only person within the mutual who sees their monthly awareness reports. The success of this reporting can be seen with a close to 40% reduction in the number of posted speed events in the 2022 calendar year across our fleet. As the driver awareness reporting has become BAU, it has been interesting to hear from people leaders about the levels of engagement from our drivers. There was a bit of apprehension to start with, but now receiving reports is a highly anticipated event with results shared amongst fellow team members, which we didn't foresee happening at all. So the next phase for this initiative is to work with those drivers who have shown only minor improvements in their driver behaviour despite having access to their reports for a full 12-month period. So that is sort of FMG's motor vehicle accident, MVA, journey, and our controls and our sort of critical controls and our secondary controls like our driver awareness reporting. So we were really excited in October of last year when we got announced as the Company Driver Safety Awards winners at our at the break ceremony. This was a nice bit of external validation that the work we have done, and it has been a long journey, is really starting to pay off at FMG. So hopefully that has provided you guys with some context and some interesting things that we do to help manage what is our biggest critical risk within FMG. So happy to take any questions from anyone or throw back to Caroline.
Great, thanks very much for that, Jack. Really appreciate it. So yes, it is time for the Q&A part of the session now too. So if you have a question for Jack, I don't know if you want to just stop sharing your screen, Jack, as well, and then we'll just, so we've got the gallery up of everyone who's attending. If you have a question for Jack, feel free to, if you want to raise your hand, and I will go around to anybody who wants to ask a question directly. Or if you prefer, or you've got a lot of background noise, then please feel free to put something in the Q&A or chat as well, and we can do that way too. But to start off with a question, one of the other things that you had mentioned before, Jack, and also came through in your awards submission as well, was around driver buy-in and gaining buy-in from all of your drivers to all of the measures that you have in place. Can you share any tips in relation to how you've gained buy-in from all your drivers to the different safety measures you've put in place?
Yeah, sure. So I think that in our 5-step approach to the way we approach critical risks and gathering, beginning with a critical risk focus group of our employees, that's a really key step, because our drivers in this instance have had peers who take part in the pilot. They are sharing back information that, it's working, it's not intrusive. So I think I would say, in terms of buy-in, especially around this, coming from fellow employees is probably more powerful than coming from ourselves and our executive leadership team. So we have got lots of really good employees, but those employees who have taken part in those critical risk focus groups have really aided us in trying to get our controls across. So I'd say that is a really key step, is having employee involvement from the get-go, because that makes the messaging when we come to implement easier, and then those people act as champions, out and about as well. So that would probably be my kind of key step for you all.
Great, thanks for sharing that, Jack. And you mentioned that you're next working with certain drivers who maybe haven't seen as much improvement as others following the driver awareness report. Who undertakes this work in your organisation? Does it sit with like the health and safety wellbeing team, the fleet coordinator, or drivers' direct managers or supervisors? Oh, you're just on mute, sorry.
Good question. It's probably a combination of all of us, I think. But ultimately, we rely quite a lot on our people leaders, on our managers to have, and especially with the driver awareness reporting, because it's about self-correction, self-awareness. I think there'll be coaching conversations. The intent is to still, we're not looking to bring KBI consequences to that particular report at this stage, because it kind of changes the narrative quite a lot on its success to date. So we will lean on our people leaders quite a lot, I think, just to have that coaching conversation. And we can look at other things like extended AA driving courses and stuff like that. It doesn't necessarily have to be a punishment. It can be an improvement conversation. And I guess because it's not shared widely, there may be an element of these people don't really know where they sit within the organisation. So it could just be an education piece around it as well. So we do have a couple of levers we can pull there, but we're certainly looking to keep its ethos of self-correction, self-awareness, rather than us having to come in with any KPI measures. Yeah.
Great, thanks. And I see John put his thumbs up to that one. Thanks, John, for that too. Again, if anyone's got a question, please feel free to put that through. Do you have anything in place, or plans to put anything in place, as well as addressing some of those possibly poorer or more risky driving behaviours, to reward or recognise the good driving in some way as well?
No is a simple answer at this stage. As part of that pilot, it was something that we mooted and discussed in depth. The general consensus was that we probably weren't ready for that at the moment. There was some discussions about that, gamifying it per se, having a leaderboard, making it a competition, isn't really the direction we want to go down. But I know, talking to Navman, they do have companies that has really worked for them, but we just didn't feel like it would work for us, which is why it was started as just the individual received their reports. But like I was saying, there is quite a lot of conversation in offices now when they do receive a report, and there may be kind of internal competition. But yeah, no, we're not looking to. I think we've certainly. We sent them, everyone, a one team email congratulating them, saying thanks for their buy-in to the driver awareness program, and we celebrated us winning this award as a collective well done. But we don't tend to call out individual driving performance at this stage. But yeah.
Thanks, Jack. One more question, and you mentioned with your vehicles, fleet, the fleet, sorry, that you your fleet vehicles are 5-star ANCAP safety rated, and also any that you lease or rent or anything as well. Do you have any drivers who are grey fleet, so who drive their own vehicles for work? And are your policies and procedures also, do they apply to them as well?
So within the vehicle policy, there's a section there for if you're driving for work-related purposes in your own vehicle. So you must fill out a form and sign it at a station and return it back to our people and culture team that your vehicle is, or you have a full license, your vehicle is warranted and registered. If you intend on taking passengers, other FMG employees, your vehicle must be ANCAP 5-star rated. If you're just going to be driving the vehicle by yourself, it can be ANCAP 4-star rated. And if the vehicle, and no one is allowed to drive a vehicle over 20 years of age, regardless of the ANCAP 5-star rating. So I could have talked for the whole presentation on the vehicle policy because it is quite chunky, but there's a dedicated section in there in terms of personal vehicle use. So, but our sales, our sales team and our assessing team, anyone who has a fleet vehicle shouldn't really be any need to drive their own vehicle because those vehicles are fit for purpose for the job they're required to do.
That's great. Thanks, Jack. So that's all the questions we've had through. Thanks for that. There are a couple of comments in the chat around congratulations on your journey and things on what you've done so far. And obviously you talked about your next steps as well to continually improve and continue on that journey, which is great to see as well. So thanks very much for taking part today. I'm just going to wrap up very quickly before we finish off with a couple of notices in relation to the forthcoming activities that we have. So keep an eye on the Global Fleet Champions website, as we're in the process of finalising further spotlight sessions and other events for this year. And also this year's Fleet Champions Awards will be launched next month, and more details will be on the website as well. So keep an eye out for that. Road Safety Week is also coming up soon, taking place 15th to the 21st of May in New Zealand, and it has the theme Road Safety Heroes, recognising those who work to make our roads safer and support people following a crash, from emergency services to planners, engineers and community campaigners. And it will also highlight the part we can all play in making our roads safer. It's also a UN Global Road Safety Week this year, and that's the same dates. And Australia are also having their Road Safety Week the same dates as well. So if you're not in New Zealand, there are still Road Safety Weeks to get involved in May. There are lots of ways to get involved in the New Zealand week and run activities or just raise awareness of the week within your own organisation. We're also encouraging organisations to recognise their own road safety heroes internally within their staff and contractors and in the local community during the week too. So if you're not already signed up, feel free to go to the website to find out more and register for a free electronic action pack. Thank you for being a part of this spotlight session and Global Fleet Champions. Break is a charity, and as such we're reliant on donations, fundraisers and corporate supporters to help us to continue our work and to share best practice in road risk management and fleet safety, to provide events and resources, and to continue our wider work to prevent road deaths and injuries, make communities safer and provide free support to people affected by road crashes. So if you're able to help us in any way, it's greatly appreciated. And there are lots of ways to support us, whether through corporate partnership or sponsorship, fundraising for us, or purchasing a good gift card or an entertainment membership. And if you'd like to discuss working with us more, then please feel free to get in contact with me or tick the relevant box on the feedback form. I hope you found today's session interesting. The feedback survey link will be sent out along with the recording link in the next couple of days. Please do complete the survey. It's really useful in helping us to plan future events. Thank you again to Jack and the rest of FMG, and to all of you for taking part as well. And we hope to see you again at another event soon.
Thanks, Caroline.
Thank you, everyone.
Thanks very much.